Before we get too far into it, would like to acknowledge our good brother Chadwick Boseman, untimely death, colon cancer. I think it's a real reminder, a real powerful reminder for black people, black men especially, how susceptible and how vulnerable we are. Um, I have loved ones, people that I consider heroes that are dealing with the same. Rest in peace to Combat Jack. We lost a lot of extraordinary people due to this illness that they can't seem to really identify what the cause of it is, what and how to combat it. And so in mourning, but more so in honoring such an extraordinary gentleman, I'd really, really, really like to say thank you to my brothers. You know, I think the hardest thing about losing a Nip, losing a Kobe, Chadwick, Cliff Robinson just passed, and then that's not, we haven't even start talking about the people we have real relationships that we've all lost. Lex, you experienced loss this week. L, you've been experiencing an insane amount of loss. Um, RP to Mama B, RP to Bugs, like all these real amazing people, man. Grandpa Larry, like all the and what it sort of reveals is like you know, just time, man. You assume, oh, I'll score a film for him one day, or somehow we'll cross his path and tell him how, you know, just his fight and his output was so unique to the industry and how it really, really stood out. And you assume you'll get to have that conversation at some point one day. And the idea that he is no longer here, but made such an impact right away, or not right away. Excuse me, because his journey represents something that's a lot more ideal than the industry will ever give credit or will ever acknowledge. At what a grind Chadwick was on, you know, not having things sort of make sense until later in his career. And we're so attached and tethered to the idea of like, oh man, if I don't do this by 30, if I don't have kids, if I don't get married, if I don't, my career don't, and then it just miraculously ends. And he's a symbol of like, nah. Pac is a symbol of nah. Nip is a symbol of nah. Like the grind is the grind. And L said something that has stuck with me for a few weeks now, and it was almost 3 weeks ago. We said it in terms of like how journeys work and how time works, and you do all this life, and then you hit that 5-year window where it's lit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of the tale of it being the end. And when you lived your life as miraculously and as pure, and I don't mean pure in like a wholesome sense, I mean pure and really just giving a fuck about people in your craft, um
All right, being
you
intentional.
being intentional, living with the purpose. um you don't really have no fear, and I can't, obviously I can't say that verbatim, but I'd like to think, because he did live with a purpose, because he did live with intention, um there was actual fulfillment there. And so as much as we mourn and we post RIP Wakanda and everything, be an example of what living be let that be an example of what living with the purpose looks like. um let that be an example of what committing and dedicating yourself to your community could look like, and watch how much change we could have if we truly are honored by these people that we say the way we say we are. We honored by Nip for real. Show me Nip moved a particular way, and if you're really honored by him, implement that shit. Chadwick moved a particular way. Bugsy moved a particular way. So if you really, really want to honor them, if you really truly want to honor these people, live with purpose, live with intentions, and care about your community more importantly.
It's,
Fellas, I'll pass it to one of you guys.
it's a tale of just having like real selfless acts without needing like any level of like award system or attention to it,
Hmm.
which is a nice lesson for everyone because this one hit so far out of left field for everyone, including people that was working with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you were doing a film with them and you didn't know, then that lets you know that that brother was like really moving a certain type of way that was specific. It was a specific call and specific purpose that he was working, specific attention that he was working within, and he executed it to a T,
Hmm.
in the time frame that he needed to
Hmm.
execute it in. And then once that was over with, then it was over, you know. And I think that on whatever, I don't, you know, whatever that last moments were, whatever the people that was supposed to be there was there. Um, and I would say that I don't know, but I could believe that it was it was sad, but it was also joyous in a way because it was executed a certain type of way. So it was, I don't think there was much left on the table. So when it's that type of way, we have to start looking at death a little bit differently. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
um, we have the people that are left behind now. You know, we're the ones that got to deal with, you know, the fact that there's loss on the table, stuff like that. But it just lets you know that that means that if it's somebody that you really feel and really felt, it means that they did some shit that made sense. And
Yes.
it's just important that you are making sure that you're executing your own path and getting on that by any means. You know, like
Man.
it should be no one that is out here living for anybody else before they're living for themselves. And then watch how much you know you glow up for the people that you know that it makes sense for. You can touch so many more people the sooner that you get to who you are. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's a beautiful brother that we lost, man. But you know, it wasn't in vain. So that's
There you
what's
go.
dope.
There you go. Lex Bub, you got anything?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on what Elle said, the thing that really got me was when they said he'd been battling with it for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That lets you know like how strong of a mental, like his mental strength is.
Mm-hmm.
Because like to do the stuff he was doing in Black Panther, like to like practicing all that martial arts and making and doing those scenes and just acting and still going through everything he was going through to try to beat that. That's crazy. That is crazy. It's like,
Completely.
and like you said, he was doing all that work and still being like out there greeting fans, showing tremendous love, letting people know like, hey, you just gotta keep your head down and keep working at whatever you're trying to do, and you'll be successful at it. And like and like also like what you said, Monty, was everybody's coming out saying like he never said nothing to nobody about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just also lets me know there ain't no excuses.
No.
Like he could have easily used that for excuse and not done half of the stuff he did, but he didn't.
Yeah. I had a, I not to personalize it, but it's hard not to.
Yeah.
I had it in almost what felt like an impossible chain of events in such a short amount of time, and only to have that book ended with the news of Chadwick, and I was like, oh well, nothing else, none of that shit matters at all. Like how fast the emotions and the overthinking and the deep thought, like how loud the noise was for it to go away that fast with the loss of this gentleman, and understanding what he represented. And this isn't a bash us moment, but I would like us to reflect how we project, right? So
Mm.
collectively, and it's not, and again, I know people talk about the um, how I specifically can generalize and when I'm speaking and trying to make a point, but that's what I want to talk about Lovecraft, because in Lovecraft, there's the most beautiful quote that made me
First off, I'm just enjoying the fact that money's on this train now.
see.
Hmm.
So
I'm
so
not
our
only am I
conversation
on
about to
it,
get sick on here, everybody. So just so y'all know, the conversation is gonna get real sick on this
not
podcast.
only am I on it, but I'm bumping you and Lex out the way, and I'm driving this motherfucker. Dog.
We wasn't doing enough justice. Like
No,
what
no,
we
no, no,
got
no. Y'all were doing it great justice, because you press. You don't ever press about. You usually like, they'll figure it out when they figure it out.
I
You
had
was
to
like,
say I had to get
nigga,
in
you
there.
better watch it. And I turned from rip. It's just shot beautifully. It's a beautiful story, but we'll get back to that. In
Yeah.
episode 2, they're breaking down the Adam and Eve story for real, and I just got done watching the Power of the Myth documentary, so that'll fuck you up too in terms of how it, in reference to the Bible, and what a tool it's been used, what a tool the Bible has been used as manipulation, but ultimately it's monsters, villains, and all the shit in the Bible. It's like things we've been discussing since children, and clearly other people are feeling the same way, but are figuring out really creative ways to highlight that in storytelling. And there's a part where one of the characters talks about literalism being for the simple. Like, I'm giving you this story so you can use the metaphor and apply them properly. But if you're gonna take everything literal, you're simple minded, you know. And that's how I feel when we're discussing topics on the show. I'm generalizing to give you a broad perspective, and including myself as part of the problem when discussing these things for a reason. So when I say our collective projecting that we do, when someone doesn't look the way we think they should look, when they don't talk the way we think they should talk, when it's heartbreaking. And so a lot of the things you heard about Chadwick prior to his death was, damn, why he doing every biopic? Why he got to play James? Why he got to play Thurgood? Why not? Why not? Kevin posted this amazing clip of the author from Rich Dad Poor Dad sitting down and breaking down the book in like pretty layman's terms. It's hard to misinterpret what he meant, and if anyone hasn't read that book, I encourage us all to read it multiple times.
Yeah, I need to have a whole study on it, like a group sitting with it.
And since you read it, G, I know you know, so this will feel redundant, but the discussion that he's having is how poverty is passed down like a family heirloom, and people misinterpret that and automatically attach it to things,
it's in the mind,
or to money, but it's in the mind, man, and spiritually too, you know. And how easily shiftable that is in terms of just shifting your surroundings, shifting your mindset, shifting your routine. Like we possess so much power. And I think for me as a creative, Chadwick represented that elegance, class, grace, and a commitment to the craft, the way that Kobe did, the way that Nip did, the way that Bugs did. This relentless work ethic to just go, I love what I do. I'm committed to what I do. And I'm not just bound to this one thing, because within this one thing, I found that I love to produce, that I love to write, that I love to support, that I, you know, like it's all these things that you uncover by yourself in these relentless pursuits. And that's I hope, my hope is that collectively we remember that the most about him.
Yeah, I would say like the first thing that came to mind when I saw that was that that documentary, the Kevin Hart's documentary, when he wanted him to be the co-star in that film that he wanted to shoot under the Hart Productions.
Because they got the rights to Uptown Saturday Night, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he wanted Chadwick to play his opposite, and he was like, how?
And Chadwick, like they sat down and they did a meeting with it or whatever. Sit down, and he was like Kev was like going hard on pitching this to him, and Chad was like, okay, I'm out to go and sit with this. So I have to think about it. And then Kev was looking like, okay. Like, cause I just wrote out like a red carpet to you. Like I just did like the biggest pitch that I could possibly do. And he just ate that entire pitch. Like,
yeah.
I have to go back and think about that one.
Yeah.
You know, because it's specific, like you have specific things already lined up that you need to take care of.
Yeah.
So like you have to put that into your, if you felt that you had the time still to initiate that, you'd have to put that in line with the things that you already have. on your schedule. You know what I mean? So that was just something that came to mind with me. It was just like how much was already, how in tune you are to, you know, be that settled in a moment like that where, you know, you have specific goals in mind.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I yeah, man. I just watching the outpouring of love and admiration and how it was impacting everyone. I just go, man, people are so beautiful at the core when stripped away
Mm-hmm.
from all the ills and the toxins of the world. People are so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I don't want the few rotten seeds and bad apples to tarnish what a beautiful collection of people and the beautiful collection of outpouring that was received the day of. I personally choose to focus on seeing how much love you received and trusting that honor. So rest in power, King. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for sharing such intimate last few moments with us too, and giving us art that will last forever. And so, what a lot of people
Hey,
were saying,
kept making appearances.
kept
Kept
making
making appearances.
kept pulling up, and what Maul um the point that Maul made on the pod about Nipsey's verses, but specifically the verse on Sean's joint is like, yo, there's this because they were so potent, because they were so true to him.
Mm-hmm.
There's this part that will make it feel as if he's here forever, and I feel the same way about Chadwick's performances in the films and his effort and how he appeared on screen. And it's the thing that critics knock you for is like, well, he's the same dude every time, and it's like, cause it's him, motherfucker. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to the thing that you'll be criticized for is the thing that makes your craft so rich. Um, so thank you for bringing authenticity to Hollywood, um, to screenplays.
And it stretched beyond like everything else too, because it went to the kids, like how impactful that character was. Because it was just cool seeing, like, you know, it was stage stuff, but it was cool seeing like all the kids with the funerals for like the action figures with
Man,
all the other Marvel characters and stuff like that. So like they're processing it as well. 2020 has made people, like, made children have to process death in a whole nother
in
way.
a whole nother way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's interesting just to see that whole thing play out, because, you know, we're all in the same place basically. So, you know, they're getting a crash course on on adulting.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that was just cool to see that, you know, just the impact and stuff.
All right, R.I.P. King. Thank you.
That part.